Alright guys, what's up, what's at it? It's Shalita back at it again, and really just gotta get this out here. Um received a lot of downloads in the past 48, in the middle of my all white. We're still in the very early phases of it, so things are kind of, this is an experience in and of itself, truly. um where to even begin? So I've come to the realization that part of the process of being in your all white is because you can feel the intentions and the spirits of other people. And, conceptually, I understood this. And now that I'm actually in this process, I'm really starting to understand this because of in the beginning, what was just like being able to feel other people's emotions and like picking up on things. I can always tell when someone's lying to me. I can tell when people have ulterior motives, whether I say anything or not. Sometimes I'm kind enough, if I actually respect the person, I'll ask, hey, is there anything, that I should be concerned about, things of that nature. And I'll never know exactly what it is, but I know there's something. And so when I get back the kind of sidestep, nah, you can trust me, all this other jazz, I already know that I can't, unfortunately. And when it comes to being lied to, I've let it slide far too many times. And this all relates to the current situation. We're still in the middle of COVID right now. They just extended it out to the end of May. And so the last, I guess you call it relationship, we're just going to give it generic relationship, that I was involved with. The degradation of that relationship started to happen once a single lie was told. And my response was, I really don't feel the same about you anymore. This seems to be a seasonal thing. And I cannot allow myself to come and stay and be a guest in your house anymore because this is just, it's too much, right? And not too much in like it's bad or anything. It's just too much for me to be able to feel your emotions, to constantly have to initiate things, to constantly have to engage you in conversation and get you to speak on things that you speak freely about with other people. And then I hear about, third party and things. And while some people might say that, I kind of preempted, because I went to some people for counsel. I'm like, yo, am I wrong in this? Like, am I not looking at this well? I need perspective because I'm really deeply entrenched in this. And when it started, I was in a very low place. And as it is now, I'm ascending. And that's not even to say that, like, I'm really very high in my spiritual journey. It's just I am no longer where I was. I am literally transforming right now. And in the process of this transformation, some things have come to light that don't sit well with me at all. And when it's brought up, again, the sidestepping, more lies, the games, the verbal wordplay, the sparring, like it's a lot for my brain to, be dealing with. And so I bring this all up because it recently, within the last 48 hours, I've kind of gone and done a few apologies with people, reaching back, opening up some numbers in my phone because, we're all in the middle of this whole COVID thing. And I was told by my Baba that, though it may become even more difficult to stay in my higher self, my God self, and, still appreciate people even if they don't accept me or they do harm to me, I should still, not necessarily completely throw those people away and like cut them out or whatever, but I should be able to maintain a healthy distance and still socialize with them. So literal social distancing. And this was then reiterated in one of the chat forums that I'm in, because someone actually, they had a new ancestor ascend. And so, they also had these things to say as well. And so I took that as confirmation. And it took me a little bit of time because I really wanted to think about what I had to say. One of the two conversations went a lot better than the other as there was more of a conversation. The other was, I apologized and, said that, we could still be friends, but obviously not as close as before. And there was really nothing said, and I'd said all that I had to say, and that was pretty much it until the next day. I took 2 trips into the city, the day after and the day after that, and I had people, very specific people from specific communities, calling me and telling me certain things, and just being a part of chats and just listening to what was said and who started to show up once I had come back around, because I'd not been around, not necessarily because of certain things, but also simply because my social circles were being trashed. Quite honestly, I was being ostracized from my own circles. People were starting not to accept my calls because of the stories that were being circulated. And if I were a weaker person, like, this would drive me up a wall. But I already expected these things to happen. And regardless of this quarantine, as I view this along my spiritual journey, my only take is, this is confirmation. This is confirmation that even though I've been recommended to go back and mend this relationship as best as possible, it is not necessary for me to go all in again and be like deeply entwined and a part of this relationship, because it's just not is not a good look. And the flip side of that is that there's now so much information, so much personal information about me that is floating throughout the stratosphere during this time, in a time where people are quite honestly bored. They have nothing else to do. There's a lot of negativity going on in the world, and people are like living in fear because of this whole pandemic. And it's all part of a grand plan, right? It's to see who is where in their thinking and who can be elevated from wherever they're already at. And so this has brought to light some current things about my current living situation, in which there's some manipulation that's been happening, and then also just some back talking because of the fact that my name essentially is being so widely circulated, and not in good ways. I've heard whore, freak, hoe, just all the common degradation of women and their status within the social circles in order to demean and break them down. And I welcome it, quite honestly. I welcome all of this, because there are so many things about me that people still don't know, that people have no true comprehension of. And this is really just giving me more time to really just not even focus on self, but really focus on self, but also get to work on the things that, while I once romanticized it and, was attempting to get people on board to help me do the work, this has truly become, and I love this fable, it's truly become a little red hen situation. The rest of the motherfuckers on the farm don't want to do shit. They just want to get handed some bread. Everyone's sitting around waiting for a stimulus check or some free unemployment money. And, I'm out here grinding and fucking trying to pay down these Lyft, whatever the fuck, so that I can get my shit back up and go make some money. And it's like, yeah, there's a difference in mindset. You either get up and you go get it, or you sit back, complain about how you're being poorly treated, play the victim, and have your hand out. Field nigger versus the slave nigger. Field nigger versus the house nigger. My apologies. And I have to say it like that because that's just, it is what it is. Jay-Z said it best. You're still a nigger. This is America. If you are a non-white person, you have the ability to be mistreated, which therefore makes you a nigger, which means that it is your responsibility to ensure your economic foundation in this country. And so I say all of this to say that in the last 6 months in dealing with one particular individual, I have lost $20,000 that I am now receiving so much backlash for, because people think I have and have hoarded that $20,000. And it's like, I don't have it. I wouldn't have moved if I still had it, because I had a secure foundation. I would have been able to invest in my community at this time. I would have been a bank. And I'm not a bank right now. I'm not even a fucking ATM. Don't come trying to push some digits and get some money out of me, because it just don't work that way, right? And it's unfortunate because, I guess I just didn't have clarity in communication, or the clout, or whatever the fuck it was, to the point where when I kept saying, let's do these investments, let's build this business, have these resources, I have these things, like I want to educate people on it, no one showed up. But when they heard there was some money that was floating around somewhere and they hadn't heard about it, it became an issue. And the one thing that I can say about all of this is that I am very grateful that I was foretold of some of these things that are happening right now, literally like 2 years ago. And I'm thankful for the goddess who warned me. I thought she was like really off, because I know I'm a very generous person, and she kept saying, people don't like it when you have money and you don't give them money, you don't help them, you don't assist them. I'm like, but that's not me. Like, how would I ever be in a position to have money and not help people? This is why. That money is gone. Those people are looking for that gone money, because that resource no longer exists, and they don't know that it no longer exists, because no one's actually talking to me when I try to talk to people and call them. No one picks up their phone, or they don't respond to texts, or they're too busy for conversation. But you ain't got shit to do because you in quarantine. Because even if you work, and I'm talking about business, so you should have some type of time. And I say this all to say that it's this is a very strange time for me personally, because this is simultaneously making me question not necessarily who I am, but who I was. Like, I am in that middle passage between the old world and the new, where I'm going. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for this transition, and especially this transitional time above all else. Because again, it's given me, I have the time now to focus and do what I need to. I can focus purely on creating and producing. However, I will not lie and say that I'm happy that I have to do this by myself right now, because it has always been my hope and my dream that I would have people here with me. I would have a team. Like, we would be a team of people who would be out here fucking elevating people and educating people and making sure that our community has all the economic power that it needs, because they said by 2050, but with this fucking quarantine in place, it's looking about like 2030, the black wealth is going to go to zero. And it's terrifying. You spend 400 years in one country, and you mean to tell me that we have damn near nothing to show for it? It don't make sense. It don't make sense. So, with that being said, my people, black and brown people, because this is a black and brown situation at this point, because I moved from an all-black community to what now seems to be a predominantly brown community, and I live in a mixed black and brown household. I'm just not here for it. You need to elevate your thinking. White people and non-whites have it to where they do not kick their kids out of the house once they become 17 because they cannot pay for utilities and things of that nature. They teach them how to become entrepreneurs. They house them so that they have less costs. Yes, it is uncomfortable to have that proximity and things. It is fine. However, the long-term outcome is that they are more financially stable and quickly to become financially independent than black and brown folks. And even brown folk have a higher advantage over black people in this regard. So instead of asking where's the money, why not ask how we can come together to do the work? Because, yeah, you're going to need the money, but if your work doesn't match the money that you're going to need, that work ethic, that execution, that reliability, that attitude doesn't match what it is that you need to execute upon, what are we really talking about? It's just conjecture. You just shooting shit in the circle, talking about a dream, not doing a damn thing. The talk is just the faith, but the action that you apply to that faith is what actually creates the dream and turns the vision into reality. So I say this all to say I had a bit of I don't really call it a meltdown, but I exploded back the energy that had been pressed down upon me because some people are so entitled, or they feel so entitled to my energy, that I gave them back what they're projecting. And the moment I did it, I felt so much better, and I was disgusted by it, because now it has to become a conversation of, I am not obligated to care for you, to entertain you, to assist you. Like, none of these things. This is not an obligation. I do this out of choice. And should you choose, to keep up the way that you are, I will no longer be present. And that's one of those things where, people I've kind of gotten the rap of, I don't sit down in one place, I don't sit still. It might be true. Maybe. However, the main thing that I've come to realize about the pattern of myself and when that happens is there's some type of ingenuity. Like, people are not being authentic. They're not telling the truth. They're attempting to manipulate me in some way. And there's some unspoken intent or expectation that is attempting to be achieved that I'd rather not stick around for. I'd rather you call me a flake than for me to be a part of something and not know exactly what it is that I'm a part of, and then some shit go down and my name is caught up in the middle of it, and I'm just like, but I didn't, that wasn't my intent, that wasn't my plan. Like, I knew nothing about any of this. Plausible deniability, because I really wouldn't know anything about it. However, it would look poorly upon me. And this is one of those things where I cannot be around people who cause social and financial turmoil at this point in my life. Because at this point in my life, I've accumulated so much information. I now need to sit down and put all of this back down into actual visual words for processing of other people, create content similar to this with and for other people, and then be able to distribute it so that it can be applied. Because you can have the knowledge, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't ever apply it. So, education is the key that unlocks everything. However, you don't ever unlock the door if you never turn the key. So, I'm very grateful. Thank you all for your time. Thanks for watching this video. Like, subscribe, leave me some comments down below. Let me know what you think. Was this helpful? I'm just here talking about me and my journey. Hopefully this helps someone along on theirs. Peace and love, fam.